Hello everybody, this is Gareth Cahoon Speaks back here with another video. I'd like you to hit the subscribe bar, give me a thumbs up if you like the video, or hit the notification bell to be notified when I post my next post. Or otherwise you could look me up at my website, which is www.garethcahoon.co.uk. Or if you'd like to support the ministry and the charities that I give to, you can do so at garethcahoon3@gmail.com on PayPal. This one here is about end times and Israel. What some get totally wrong. Does end times theology drive evangelical support for Israel? New research seems to cast doubt on this oft spouted assumption. Dr. Mitch Glaser, president of Chosen People Ministries, an organization seeking to serve and evangelize the Jewish people, recently reflected on new data that surprised him on this subject. What surprised me is that nothing has changed since October 7th. Glaser said of evangelical support for the Jewish state. There's just been so much bad press about Israel, but between 70 and 75% of what we call the NAA evangelicals that really believe the essentials of the gospel are very favourable towards Israel. Another interesting data point in is the vast majority of Christians, 87%, agree either strongly or somewhat that believers should support the Jewish people regardless of Jewish opinions about Jesus being the Messiah. Glaser said this is notable because the conversion of Israel is believed to be an eschatological prophecy. The belief that the Jewish people will turn to Yeshua Jesus in the last days. There's been a thought that the reason why Jewish people are important, the reason Israel is important, is because of their role in the last days, he said. And so our researchers are not quite believers in Jesus. They're just academics with no skin in the game. They're very objective and very smart, and one of them said to me, "Wow, I was wrong. The Christians are not utilitarian as I thought, and that they genuinely believe that God has his hand on the Jewish people, chose the Jewish people, and that Christians have an obligation to be kind and support the Jewish people with their tithes and their offerings." Glaser, who has been a Christian for decades, said there's sometimes suspicion that there's a secret motive among Christians to convert the Jewish people, and that evangelical support is predicated upon this. But he believes the survey results dispel such a contention, and that the report itself explains the true motivations beyond pro-Israel sentiment. Our data indicates that generalized eschatological urgency is insufficient to explain attitudes towards the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Once covenantal theology, evangelical identity, and moral evaluations of Israel's use of force are considered, the report reads, instead support for Israel appears to be grounded in structural theological commitments and normative judgments rather than diffuse apocalyptic belief. Glaser admitted he, like the researchers behind the data, was pleasantly surprised by the results and asked some important questions. The real question then is, what is the fundamental driving force for evangelical support who support Israel? Glaser continued, What is the driving force? It is biblical. It is social, moral. It is just war theory. And I'm happy to say that it's biblical. Glazier said that the majority of even young evangelicals believe that the Abrahamic covenant, God's promise of the land and people, is still valid today. And that is so true because you cannot separate Israel from the end times. The two go hand in hand together. When Yeshua Jesus is coming back, he's not coming back to Rome. He's not coming back to New York in America. He's not coming back to the UK, Russia, China. He's coming back to the nation and to the people of Israel. In fact, in the Bible, Jesus says these words: I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. It was only later that the door was opened up for Gentile believers to come into the faith. And I thank God that Yeshua loved me, who is a Gentile, enough to include me in the Abrahamic covenant. And I have salvation because of that free gift. And I will forever be grateful. And I will forever support the Jewish people, especially today in their hour of need. Shalom, Maranatha, and Hallelujah.